Today's guest is David Icke. The man probably needs no introduction. He's as controversial as they come, but today he's decided to dig into his knowledge to give us an outlook on the hidden nature of reality.
There are very few people control the world. Very few people. People would be staggered how few.
And specifically, your ability to tap into hidden aspects of your mind. Today we're going to get a masterclass on power and the flow state. It is time to achieve your goals. We've got the whole podcast here today, but some clips from the uncensored version can be seen on our Rumble or the way of willjohn.com, where we discuss things that happened in 2020 that shall not be named on YouTube. You know exactly what I'm talking about, all right? Leave us a like, comment below, let us know what you think. Much love to everyone, and enjoy the podcast, my friends. Peace out. We ended our first talk and started, I believe, speaking about football and the belief system. And I had you describe reality, what was going on, and just the current, state of things. But we touched on, and so I wanted to get a focus on this. You said, if you had a good understanding of who you really are, humans and consciousness and what we really are, that you could have an ability to affect the world and an ability to even change your game through visualization, through perhaps meditation, through a thought process. And so I'm hoping maybe we can go deeper on this, especially for young players and people that are just trying to, continue to get better and understand the charade of things, and then maybe tap into that power if you could give us some background there.
Yeah, well, we are not just the body. We are consciousness experiencing through the body. And that consciousness can either impose an impact upon the body and what it does, or the body program, if you like, the mind program that we are subjected to from cradle to grave, can be in the driver's seat. And the difference between the two in terms of performance is absolutely fantastic. So take a simple example. You're playing a game and the other side is all over you. They're smacking the heck out of you. They go 1-0 up, they go 2-0 up, you're getting slaughtered. And then you nick a lucky goal, maybe a deflection or something, and it's 2-1. Now, in the great majority of examples, we're now in a different game, because the other team that was all over you, now you're going at them. You think we've got a chance here. Now, what's changed? Not one of the players in the team getting hammered before has become a better player. I mean, physically. I mean, they've not suddenly developed a greater skill.
Right.
What has changed is the mindset by which they're playing. So you get teams that will be super confident, full of super confident players, and then you look at them and you think, how many times have they nicked a late goal to win a game? It's ridiculous how many times they do it. It was, of course, Manchester United was famous for it under Alex Ferguson. They called it Fergie time, where they so often nicked a goal. And they, for a long time, I remember they used to talk about lucky Arsenal, because they were always picking up late goals to win games, often, games that they didn't play that well in, but there was something about their mindset, because there's a difference between thinking you'll win, hoping you'll win, and knowing you'll win. Knowing comes from consciousness, and if you can see the potential that you have to override all the doubt and fears of the body, then your performance can dramatically improve. And, you know, there was an experience I had. I was playing for a club called Hereford United in a cup game at Barnet, their old Barnet ground. And it was a moment when I kind of started to think there's more to this reality, this world, than I thought. And I can still see it now. There was a guy who went on to play for Charlton Athletic, I recall. And the ball dropped to him about 10 yards out, maybe 12 yards out. And he hit it beautiful on the half volley. And it was screaming towards the top left-hand corner. And I started to move across to it. And then everything changed. Suddenly, the whole world went into slow motion. And the ball, which left his foot in normal speed, was now moving in slow motion. I was moving in slow motion. And eventually I launched myself kind of horizontal, and put my hand up just under the crossbar. And the ball hit my hand, and it was going so hard in real time that it only just deflected over the bar. And the moment that my hand made contact with the ball, everything crashed back in.
TheWayOfWillJohn.com. Exclusive content and programs on manifestation, making money, hidden knowledge. Finally, reach your full potential.
When I was in the slow motion mode, there was no crowd. It was a big crowd there that night from Barnet standards, and there was no noise, nothing. Everything was silent, and I fell to the ground, and people were running over to me, my teammates, saying, "Great save, Icke," and I'm lying there thinking, "What the hell just happened?" And what I'd kind of entered in a very profound way is what we call the zone. Now, all sports people at some point will have experienced the zone. It's when you are able to produce fantastic feats of performance. And so often people will say, I remember a number of sports people saying this, when I was in this zone, it didn't, like there was a golfer and a snooker player, I remember, that said, it didn't matter if I put it in or didn't put it in. I was just doing it. And what we have with the zone is where your point of attention moves out of the conscious mind into the subconscious mind, the greater consciousness. Now, I always said when I was coaching my sons in goalkeeping, always train as you want to perform in a game. Because what you're doing, I remember talking at one time to a fantastic, great, legendary player called Bobby Charlton at Manchester United. And he was a guy who you didn't know if he was left-footed or right-footed. It was just extraordinary. And I talked to him about this, and he said, well, what I was doing as a kid, he said, we had these walls, like 2 walls, and I'd throw a tennis ball at the wall, and when it came back, I just hit it with whichever foot was closest and most appropriate. And I did that hour after hour, day after day after day after day. And what he's doing is he's downloading into his subconscious, think of a computer program, how he wants things to happen. And the subconscious does not go through a sense of doubt. It doesn't think, oh my God, what will happen if I don't score this? what it just does its thing. It just works everything out and delivers. Whereas the conscious mind is constantly worrying about failure. Oh my God! Do you remember? I think it was recently. There was a big golf event in America. Could have been the Masters, and the Irish golfer McIlroy looked like he was going to win it, and then it all fell apart at the end. That's the conscious mind kicking in. Because what it's saying is, oh my God, I could win this. All I've got to do is this part, and all the doubt kicks in. Whereas if he stays in the zone, where he's obviously been through most of the tournament, because that's why he was leading up till the end, the subconscious is not bothered about, fame, fortune, and whether you get this trophy or that trophy. It's just going through the technique that it's learned from hours and hours and hours of practice. And you see this very clearly in body language, because the body reflects the state of mind. That's how body language works. So how many times do you see players who get a chance at goal that pull their head back? They pull their head back, and of course, law of physics, head back, ball up over the bar or wide. Whereas if you think about a positive mindset, say a boxing match, that's a positive mindset. You are attacking it. You are going for it. A defensive move in boxing is doing that. That's retreating. And you see it not only with goal scorers, you see it with goalkeepers. How many goalkeepers, when they're faced either in a 1-against-1 or the balls come across the goal, like 6 yards out or closer, and what happens is the goalkeeper starts to retreat, head back. Head position tells you everything about the mental state of a player. Doesn't matter if it's a tennis player, a footballer, it tells you where the head position is. And what's happening is, as the balls come across, the goalkeeper feels vulnerable because it's close and oh my God. So that vulnerability puts the head back. And you see some goalkeepers, professional goalkeepers, who retreat so far in that situation that they go like a yard behind the line. So even if they stopped it, it would be a goal.
TheWayOfWillJohn.com. Exclusive content and programs on manifestation, making money, hidden knowledge. Finally, reach your full potential.
In terms of goalkeeping, again, but it's the same with all these other sports and positions, the head position, which tells you about your state of mind, is absolutely vital in goalkeeping. Because if you look at a skier coming, down a mountain at fantastic speed, their knees are bent and their head is in the position that creates maximum balance. And that's basically the prime goalkeeper position. It can be a prime, even defender position when you're going to react to whatever an attacker's doing. And so you're in that position, and your weight, because of your head position, because of your mind state, is forward on your feet. And from that position, you can go anywhere. You can go left, you can go right, you can go up, you can go down, you can go forward. But once the head position, mind state, retreats, now the weight is going onto your heels. Now you can't go anywhere. The only way you're going to stop an effort at goal is sticking an arm out, because you're not going to go anywhere. You can't go forward. You can't go up. You can't go down.
Of course.
And it's all coming from this state of mind. So if you see really, really top goalkeepers like Neuer in Germany, he'll still do it here and there, but overwhelmingly, his sense of self-confidence, his mindset, will always keep his head forward, and he'll stop shots that others won't stop because they're going back.
Right.
And you see a real top-class goal scorer. And what they do when the ball's coming across, you can talk about the guy at Manchester City and great goal scorers of different eras. Their head position is forward. They're not going to put it over the bar most of the time. They're going to put it in, because their mindset is different to a goal scorer that's not in the same class. And they will stick it away because their head will be in a position that will keep the ball down. And they won't panic because they'll know I'm going to score. They won't hope, they won't think, they'll know. And, if you can get into this understanding of how consciousness, your mind state, impacts upon performance, you can take your performance way beyond where it is now.
I mean, it's crazy too. I mean, just for you to recount my version of what happened to you with the slowing down, the same thing happened to me with flow. A ball got played into me. I was up top. I was playing central midfield, attacking midfield, but the ball got played maybe 60, 70 yards all the way to me. As the ball's coming in the air, all of a sudden, I realize I'm having all these thoughts, which of course is crazy because the game is too fast to be thinking, well, it was coming in the air. I was thinking, I should just try and flick it on goal. That would have been the safe thing to do. Ball's coming in. I'm surrounded. There's no one else in the box besides me and a bunch of all the other defenders who are going to crush me probably if I try and settle this. I'll just flick it. But as I thought, why should I do that? Let me just get past that fear thought. Let me just try and take it down. I have all these thoughts. It must have been, the ball is traveling way too fast. So time had slowed down and it was completely quiet. No sound, decent sized stadium. The ball hits my chest. I take the ball, right off my chest, and my foot, it was like watching myself. My foot somehow flicks up, kicks the ball over a defender, and before the ball reaches the ground, I put it in the back of the net. I'm off celebrating, and I'm still watching myself basically throughout the celebration. I feel like I'm not all there. It's just happening to me, right? And that is that sense of flow. Would have never happened if I didn't suppress my fear thought and let it happen. But it's that, and when I go track back to how that goal could have happened, our stadium, I was playing in Baku, Azerbaijan at the time, in the Premier League over there. The stadium is attached to these massive hotels, it's like a hotel, it's an Olympic complex. And so they give the players a hotel and apartment at the place. I would spend my time kind of overlooking, I was on the 4th floor, overlooking the stadium field, visualizing, thinking about how nice it'd be to score a goal in this area right next to the fans and all this. And I spent all this time just kind of running that program over and over and over again without even really thinking about it. I was just listening to music and hanging out, and walking around. But it just went to show me that all the work, when you really get it, like you said, it just kind of happens to you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I see this all the time when I'm watching football. When someone, say a Paul Scholes at Manchester United or these great midfield players, when they look up and smack the ball 60 yards onto the far side of the pitch, the conscious mind's not involved in that. The conscious mind's not saying, okay, what you got to do, let me see that distance. Okay, if you hit it this hard, you might have a chance of getting it there. No, they look up, they hit it. That's the subconscious. That is first natural aptitude, of course, but it's also hours and hours and hours of teaching the subconscious mind what you want. And by training and practicing as you want to perform in the game. I see people, when I played, in training, the ball had come across and they'd stick a leg out. Oh, it's only training. Well, you're going to stick a leg out in the game because your subconscious doesn't know if it's training or a game. It's just working out the angles and the technique and in the way that you've taught it to. And it's the same with this whole idea of we hear all the time, great players, they seem to have more time than anyone else. Well, they have. And there's a reason for that. The reason is there's no time. Time doesn't exist. It's an illusion. It's the way the brain sequences events to appear that they go one after the other, when actually they're all happening in the same quote now. It's very difficult for the five senses to get a grasp of that. I completely understand, because constantly we're being given the experience of what we call time. But I put it this way. Okay, where are you when you are doing something in that moment? You're in the now. Okay, fine, that makes sense. But where are you when you perceive what happened in the past? You are in the now. So you're in the now when you perceive the past. So where were you when you experienced what you now have the memory of as the past? You were in the now. Where's the future you're worrying about? Where are you when you're worrying about the future or looking into the future? You're in the now. Where will you be when that future becomes your experienced reality? You'll be in the now. And so what we call time is about, and again, we're into this whole idea of conscious, subconscious mind. You are in a situation where certain people process information quicker. So they may only do it as a footballer. They may not do it in the rest of their life, but in their focus of attention, their passion, football, with their natural abilities, they are processing information quicker than a big hairy defender. And so when we experience a game of football, there are people on the pitch processing information quicker, processing, quote, time quicker than other people. And they come together and they're all playing the same game, but they're not in the same reality in the sense of the way they process the illusion of time. So to them, and anyone watching, time passes in a different way to someone who's processing information slower. And we look on and we say, hey, that guy always seems to have more time than anyone else. That's because of the way they're processing information. And,
Right.
it's something, all these areas, and there are many more, if only sport would explore them, and some sports, started to, then performances will go through the roof. I remember when I played for Coventry City youth team once, I played in this kind of university stadium with a running track in Oxford, in England, and it was the very stadium where a guy called Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile for the first time. And it was believed that a 4-minute mile was impossible. No human could possibly have achieved that. Now, in those days, they didn't have, automatic timers. They had a stopwatch. Uh-huh. So the guy at the line pressed the button, and he, according to the guy pressing the button anyway, Bannister broke the 4-minute mile by a tiny, tiny fraction. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. The point was, someone had broken a mind barrier, a barrier that was apparently unachievable. Now, if you go and look at the current world record for a mile, it's way, way, way beyond 4 minutes, or less than 4 minutes. But you know what I mean in terms of the speed that it's done. And these barriers are mental barriers. It can't be done. Well, who says? And it's like like I said earlier, we just had a game in England, Brighton against Tottenham Hotspur, and Tottenham Hotspur went 2-0 up, absolutely playing Brighton off the park, and then Brighton got one back, and everything changed, and Brighton won 3-2. Because nothing had changed. Tottenham weren't a worse team in terms of ability. Brighton weren't a better team in terms of ability in the period we're playing in. What changed was the mindset. And this is a great untapped source of human performance. Not that people don't say, oh no, if you're confident and if you have your mind right and all that stuff, the people are getting that now, okay, but how deep it goes is invariably not talked about in the way that it could be. And I remember, years ago when I played, the idea that things like the mental state and all that stuff, it was kind of airy fairy stuff. You really don't want to talk about that, but it's absolutely fundamental to sporting performance.
How would you structure a daily practice to enhance this? That would be my question, because normally we have to ask coaches and maybe they don't get into it or don't understand even how they did some of the things that they did. How would you structure something for, say, young guys in the game, or even, seasoned pros that want to try and tap this? What would you do?
Well, I think you've got to treat everyone as individually, because not everyone's the same. Not everyone's in the same mindset. Not everyone's in the same level of confidence. I mean, when I played for Coventry City, I saw young kids come along who had lots of ability, but didn't have the confidence, didn't know they were going to make it. They hoped it. They hoped they would. And I saw other kids come along who had a lot less ability, but they had this, I'm going to make it. And they had successful careers in the professional game, even though they had less ability than those that just dropped out of it. So you have to treat everyone according to where they're at. But it's like, it's getting people to realize that from cradle to grave, the body-brain level of us is programmed with certain perceptions of reality. The education system, or what passes for it, is it's a programming system. It's programming a perception of reality into the masses of young people and children. The media is confirming that reality, and there is a lot of fear of not succeeding, or a feeling of best things in life happen to other people, and because this system that I've been exposing for 35 years doesn't want us to be en masse sharp thinking, confident, expanded awareness. They don't want that. How do you start controlling that? You want to suppress people, not expand them in terms of their awareness, understanding the way, and the performances that they can achieve in all their different walks of life. So the body brain level is constantly subjected, the conscious mind, if you like, and the subconscious mind too, is subjected to fear, to doubt, to anxiety, to what if I fail? And, you know, you have this phenomenon that I've seen many times in football where teams are frightened to win. And there are certain things that tell you why if you study those teams. I remember the Leeds United under a manager called Don Revie. Don Revie became England manager eventually. And he had a team, Leeds United, that were extraordinary in their collective ability at that time. And they won a fraction of what that team could have won, because so often when it came to the crunch to actually getting over the line, they would fall apart. And interestingly, Don Revie was infamous in football, including the England team, for his dossiers, in which he would hand players, like the night or two nights before, a dossier on the player who was most likely to be marking them or they were marking. And it would be incredibly detailed. You know, some of these the players have talked about this, former England players and stuff, about these dossiers they were given. And what that tells you is that the manager is frightened of losing. Instead of saying, you've got fantastic ability, go out and play, it was worrying about the opposition and what they might do and how they might play. Now, that you can do that to a certain extent, that's fair enough, but we're talking fine detail that Revie went into. And that tells you that the guy was a guy who was frightened of failure, because you know you don't need fine detailed dossiers. You just need to know something about the other team. Yeah, but exactly. Then you let them worry about us. Yeah. And so Leeds United won a fraction of what their ability should have won, because of that. And it's another thing, you know, about sport and management and coaching. Let's take football management. You have an individual mind, if you like, individual players with their individual foibles and anxieties and whatever. But you also have a collective mind of the team, where the sum total of all those individuals become the collective mind of the team. And that collective mind is, and individual mind, come to that, is impacted upon very much by the manager and the manager's attitude, the manager's way of dealing with players, the manager's level of confidence or lack of it. And what can happen is that collective mind of the team, if they play for this manager for long enough, starts to express the manager, and the whole thing becomes a collective mind in which the manager is the manager's mindset becomes extremely important to the way the team operates. And in terms of Don Revie, his fear of losing would have been passed on to that collective mind of the team. you get another manager who's super confident, and that will be passed on to the team. You'll have a super confident team playing for him. And if he's of a certain mindset, he will be picking players and who he signs and who he doesn't on the basis of their mindset. This is coming into football more and more now, which is a good thing, rather than their apparent ability to play. And so you look at a player and you look at their mindset and you look at what their anxieties are. You look at whether they're confident, whether they're a knowing player, or whether they're a hope and thinking player. And then you start to talk to them. It's what I would do anyway, about the fact that actually they are two people. There's the programmed conscious mind and the programmed subconscious mind, because the subconscious is picking up programming from life experience as well. And then there's expanded levels of consciousness beyond the body that can override the anxieties and the fears and the fear of failure of the conscious mind, and just keep inserting into them that their performance relates to their sense of self, their sense of possibility, their sense of knowing rather than thinking or hoping. And it won't happen necessarily overnight, but you can instill this mindset into people where they go from hoping and thinking they'll do well to just knowing it. Right. And it's a completely different mindset. And the more that you go into that level of awareness, the more you start to go into these beyond the conscious mind levels of awareness, where they don't have the levels of anxiety and fear of failure that the conscious mind has been programmed through human life experience to have. And it's just something that needs to be worked on constantly. And also, what you can do is you can go the other way as well. Talked earlier about body language. Well, body language reflects the mind, the state of mind, as I talked about earlier. So, what I would do if I was running a football team, for 20 minutes, in every training session, virtually every training session, I would have people shooting at goal with their head over the ball.
Good.
And not retreating, but constantly head over the ball, confident, keep it down. I'd have my strikers constantly in training working on keeping that head forward and putting the ball away, crosses, whatever, because that head forward is a body language for confidence, assurance, balance. And by constantly making the body language right, you are instilling that into the subconscious mind all the time. So when the ball comes across, or the ball drops at the edge of the box, that constant repetition of training the mind by body language will hit the ball and keep it down. They'll put the ball in the net instead of leaning back and putting it over the bar. So there's two ways to go about it, and I look so often when I'm watching football, and head back, ball up is a well-known law of physics in football. But the number of times I see players, even very talented players, who, when the opportunity comes, their head goes back. I see goalkeepers, often very talented goalkeepers, when they feel vulnerable because of the situation, their head goes back. And so that's another way of instilling this mindset, purely by constant repetition of the body language that reflects the mindset you want them to have.
And it's wild because that carries over into everything. It's not just on the football field, as you said, going into an interview, doing what it is you need to do with your day, whatever it is, if you carry that mindset. But the thing that's so hard that I've seen in speaking with younger players is that they don't realize it's a trait that you can practice. Like you just said, once you get it instilled and once you train it, it becomes like everything else you've trained in your life. I mean, the first time you used a pen was pathetically, it was a pathetic attempt at manipulating this until you got it, and now you can draw all sorts of things. It's the same with faith, the mentality, reprogramming your subconscious mind. I think the problem a lot of players have is that they don't feel that it's a malleable thing, and we're also programmed to believe that I am this person that is anxious or doesn't score goals or always misses the penalty, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point. You bring up the penalty. It's, if you're a footballer, as you well know, and you're you've got a penalty in a game, late in a game, which can be highly significant to the outcome, or you have a penalty shootout, and you can almost see, often you can see, as they walk towards the ball in a penalty shootout, you can pretty much predict if they're going to score or not.
Yeah.
Because of the body language. And you get these great players who no matter what the situation is, what the pressure is in the game, like a World Cup game or whatever, they'll put the ball down and they'll stick it away. The times they won't are very, very small. And then other players, they'll just fall apart because their conscious mind is saying, oh my God, what happens if I don't score? It's all negative. And if you have that mindset, there's a very good chance you're not going to score. So people talk about practicing penalties. Yeah, that of course that's important, but it's the mindset that takes the penalty. I mean, you can be incredibly confident in a training session taking penalties. Oh yeah, taking the mick out of the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
and then in a crowd, a packed crowd and stadium, in a penalty shootout, you fall apart because it's a different stage, and the conscious mind, fear, anxiety kicks in, and it expresses itself in your body language. So it might be a penalty that's too close to the goalkeeper. It might be mishit. It's reflecting your performance in a sporting situation, and as you rightly say, life in general is governed by your state of mind. And that's something that is not understood. We have a team just down the road from where I am now, called 𝗪𝗪𝗡, play in the League 2 of the English Football League. And I don't know whether it's 7 or 8 games they've lost on the trot now. And their mindset will have reached the point where they won't expect to win anymore. And that will be reflected in their performances. Now, if they get a win somehow, maybe with a bit of luck, whatever, then their mindset can change, and they can break that sequence and go on and win some more. But until that happens, they're not going to be expecting to win. I remember once I was on loan for about 3 months at a club called Northampton Town when I was at Coventry City, and Northampton Town had been in the bottom level. It was the 4th division then. It's called League Two, League Two now. Burton are in League One. That's right. And what they did is they went through the 4th division, League Two. Got promoted. They went through the next division, Division 3 then, League One now. They went through the Championship. This is in successive seasons. And they went into what is now the Premiership. And they only went down, despite all that, how quickly they'd moved up, with a points total that often would have, kept you in the league, kept you in the division. And then they went down to what is now the Championship. And they went through that into what is now League One. Went through that, and now they're back where they started. In something like 8 years or something. And I talked to a player when I was there who'd been through that whole sequence. And I said, what happened? He said, well, when we were coming up, we just got used to winning. He said, and when we were coming down, we just got used to losing. In other words, what took them all the way through the leagues upwards and took them down to where they started were different mindsets, different states of mind, different senses of reality. That's what it is, really. It's your sense of reality. If you have a sense of reality that, you hope you're going to win, I think I'm going to win, or you're going to win, it's a completely different sense of reality that you have, and that will express itself in your experience. I remember when I was at the BBC, I did a film about a guy called Nigel Mansell. And Nigel Mansell was a Formula One racing driver. When I did the film, he was just got into Formula One. And he'd had a very kind of rough journey to get there. And he was driving for Lotus at the time.
Yeah.
And whenever I said to him, well, let's hope you'll be a world champion one day, he would stop me mid-sentence and say, I will be world champion. And okay, it got a bit boring after a while, to be honest, but it was a mindset he had, and he became world champion. And in terms of Formula One world champions, against an 8 billion global population, there ain't many of them. And but he had this knowing, I'm going to do it. There was no doubt in his mind, and this is the foundation of sporting performance, and it's not focused upon to the extent that it could be. I mean, if I could spend a few weeks with the Burton Albion team, I think I could make a difference because of changing the mindset of the players. Because at the moment they don't seem to be able to win a game,
and it's because it's neglected. I think you're touching on it, because what would happen if you spent a few weeks with them is that you'd tell them to cut the crap when they started being like, oh, it's okay for this to happen, it's okay to skip this, and all that. It's okay if we lost. Okay, you lose in training, and you somehow shock them out of that,
big time.
They would think it's not okay, right?
Big time. And like I say, I think it's very important what we were talking about a few minutes ago. If body language reflects the state of mind, then you can come in at the point of the body language and change the state of mind. Because, the throttle goes both ways, as they say. You can come in at body language, or you can come in at, mindset, or both, even better. And you can transform performance. Because in the end, yes, some people are blessed with a greater, what you call natural skill than others. But everyone's got 2 legs, 2 arms, a torso, and a head. And therefore, it's possible for performance to be vastly, vastly greater than it currently is if you get the mindset right.
Right.
I mean, you look at Manchester City. I talked earlier about Don Revie and Leeds United. Guardiola at Manchester City, he just won't take shit.
Yes.
He wants it right. He wants it right, and he won't accept anything less than right. And that's reflected in his team. Guardiola's mindset is Manchester City's team. And even on a bad day, when they're not, performing as they could, they all invariably tend to pick a late goal up or win 1-0 or something. Because of the mindset they have. They're not expecting to lose. They're expecting to win. It is crucial that managers have a mindset that they want the team to have. Because if you don't, then the team's going to reflect that. That's not the idea, surely.
Right. David, as always, it's a pleasure. This, I hope for many of the players that are going to get a chance to see this, will do something about it, and will take it in and kind of, watch this over and over again until they start to change their subconscious mind. And I know we didn't get to touch on a lot of the other subjects that we did. I'm sure we will do some other time on the other channel and the podcast. But once again, thank you for making the time, and we'll definitely do it again.
Yeah, a very, very simple thing. If you want to do it in a game, do it when you're practicing, because the subconscious doesn't know the difference. Very, very important, that.
And powerful. So, all right. Well, thank you. We will see you soon,
Cheers, mate.
of course. And guys, go check out everything. We'll link to all David's stuff, of course, in the description. You guys can check all that out and keep it up.